I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, Colonel Thomas Baltazar. Uh, Colonel Baltazar was appointed by Andrew Natsios in 2005 as the Director of the Office of Military Affairs, Bureau of Democracy, Conflict and Humanitarian Assistance at USAID. He served in the Army for 26 years, including Chief Contingency Operations, Office of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Stability Operations, where he managed DoD policy oversight of non-combatant evacuation operations, the United Nations peacekeeping missions in the Middle East, East Africa, and multinational force Sinai. He served as a technical expert on a 3-person DoD team that successfully concluded a ceasefire agreement between the government of Sudan and the Sudanese People's Liberation Army in the Nuba Mountains. He also served as the Chief of Staff and Director of Operations in the Office of Reconstruction and Humanitarian Assistance and Director of Regional Operations of the Coalition Provisional Authority. Interestingly, he was born in Paris. He studied at VMI as a master's degree in international relations from Troy State, a master's in science in national security from the U.S. Naval War College. He also studied at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College. Among his military training that's most interesting is engineering, Ranger School, Navy diving, salvage, and deep diving, Civil Affairs Officer course, and this one's really good, Atomic Demolition Munitions course. His awards and decorations include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, Joint Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Commendation Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal, and Humanitarian Service Medal. And somewhere in there, he has an Atomic Demolition Munitions Course Survival Medal. So, good Baltazar.
I'm not sure what that gets you, but it sounds pretty good. Thank you all for attending this very important conference, and to you, Doug, for inviting me here. What I'm going to try to do today for you is lay out where I think, I'll tell you where we are right now in terms of USAID. I'll give you my thoughts on where I think we need to go and where I think the U.S. government is headed, and that's a big think. And then I'll just talk a little bit about our challenges, and we have a lot of them, as you well know. You're living the challenges. Engagement in Iraq and Afghanistan from a PRT perspective. And you guys, I see faces out here that I know have been in both of those countries too, and on PRTs, lived this. They both started with different constructs, with different visions. And they're reflective of, this is Tom Baltazar talking now, reflective of this inability of our government to understand the environment that we're involved in right now, and a construct that allows us to put the requisite resources at the right time, at the right place to achieve success. Even the definition of success in some cases is pretty hard to accomplish. That said, I mean, this all sounds negative to you, and I hope it isn't, because we have some really talented people working at this. We have talented people in the field, on both sides of the equation, civilian and military, and international community. And we have very talented people here and across the other governments, our partner governments that we interact with, and we're all trying to get at this problem. Really defining what it is that we're faced with right now, in an attempt to then apply the resources collectively towards achieving success. So where are we right now in the U.S. government? And I can tell you, I'll focus some of my comments, obviously, because I have some equity in it, on USAID and what we're trying to do. The fact that we have an Office of Military Affairs in the U.S. Agency of International Development can tell you where we're going as a government. I mean, I can honestly say that in the development community, if you were to have met people 10 years ago or even 5 years ago and said that there would be an organization such as my office in USAID, they'd tell you that you needed to go to get some professional help. But we are there, we are growing, and I think we are providing some value to our agency as we strive to to achieve, I think, our rightful place in this 3D paradigm. And for those of you who have not had the opportunity to read the National Security Directive of 2006, I'd urge you to read it, and 2002 prior to that, because it talks about this 3D paradigm, but of course the implementation, planning, and processes is the devil. And what we're working through those processes right now. Some of the ways that we're handling it at USAID is really, what we're trying to do is understand our major partner who's out there. We understand State Department, because we are basically we're an independent agency, but we are really, for all intents and purposes, a sister agency or the little sister, I should say, of the State Department. The Defense Department, on the other hand, in many cases for people in my agency, is an enigma. Yes, we have been working with the Defense Department for many, many decades, going back from when we first started in the '61 and throughout the Vietnam conflict, but we have never formalized our relationship. So we don't really understand what the Defense Department is all about. And one of the key things that my office does is really try to deconstruct the Defense Department for the development community, because it is not a monolith. For those of you who have worked with the Defense Department know that it is multifaceted, as is our community. And really, I find myself in many ways, my office, as the interpreter for conversations where people are in many cases talking or in violent agreement and don't even know it. So what are we doing to try to solve that? Well, we have exchange programs with the Defense Department, and as an example, right now we have 5 people who are attending the Defense Department War College equivalents. So the people, the colonels and lieutenant colonels who go off to school at the 15-year mark or so, we have USAID representatives at the same level of experience in those schools. One of the more significant things is we actually have 2 people now in senior planning courses called, and for the Army, every service has one, but the Army has this school called the School of Advanced Military Studies, where they train planners to work at the corps level and at the division level. And we have 2 people in each one of those respective courses. There's one a senior fellowship course and the one at the major level. And what we're hoping to do is take these guys back. Well, first, to inculcate into those next generation planners a sense of where development fits in this continuum, that they're charged to plan, and then to bring back the processes or the thought process of those military planners back into our strategic planning organization within our agency. And this is going to take at least, I'm talking 10, 15 years before we really truly understand each other and we can develop plans that are mutually supportive. Now, we don't have 10 or 15 years. So we're doing some things on the, certain things right now that will hopefully jumpstart this process until we can get this thing formalized. It's also in concert with this concept of the National Security Officer. And for those of you who haven't heard that, I mean, it's a concept that the military is looking at to develop a cadre of people across the interagency who go off to a school for 1 year, and at the end of the year, they will come away with a sense of what each of the agencies bring towards this stabilization and reconstruction environment. And ultimately, those people will not go back to when they graduate, go back to their home organizations, but will go to a sister or brother agency out in government and do a rotation. And again, talking 10, 15 years down the road, when this corps has grown to a point where these guys are now, or these men and women are at policy-making levels, we can have a conversation around the table, and we will have a common lexicon, and we'll understand what each other brings to whatever the challenge is that's presented by our president.